Millen, that's right. All right, here we go. You were black. E4, E5. Okay, so you're 895. You played 1182. Is a tough person for you? Bishop to C4, knight to C6. A lot of bishops openings here in Texas. Bishop C4, knight C6, knight to C3. Okay, knight F6. We're not going to go into too much of the opening here. We're just going to roll through it. You guys are both developing. That's what I'm happy about. Bishop B4, that's a good move actually. I like it. Bishop to B4, knight E2. Now you play D6, and there may even be a better move. One of the advantages of putting the bishop on B4, what was the main reason you did this? Pins, right? So is there an opportunity in the center that you wouldn't have if the knight wasn't pinned?
It's okay, she wants to use her camera.
Yeah. One of the things to think about, especially in these classical E4, E5 games, is looking for early and often opportunities to strike with D5, okay? Because it really just equalizes the playing field for black. Opening up these lines and creating this opportunity after takes, knight takes. Of course, if he trades everything, you'll take with the queen and everybody's happy, okay? You're actually attacking G2. And what's funny is if he castles trying to defend this and unpin, you can back up. And you've actually gained a small advantage here because you have two bishops versus one bishop. The reason why the bishop pair is an advantage is because it's much harder to keep a position closed in chess than it is to allow it to become open. It just takes more skill to really build tension and keep it closed. So most often, these bishop advantages, having two of them is a big thing. The earlier you get it, the better, because now you know your goal is to open the position. So this would have been a better move. All right, but you played D6, bishop to G5, no worries. Hey, are those nachos? That's delicious. Will you step back just a tiny bit? I love nachos. No, you can stand right here. I want them just within reach of smell, but not within reach that I won't just grab them and eat them, because I'm starving. Okay? There you go. Look at you, you are a sweetheart. You know that? No. Bishop G4, F3. Well, that makes sense, but now you go back to D5 when your bishop is under attack, right? So why do that? I mean, you don't take the opportunity to play it earlier when it made the most sense, and now your bishop is under fire, right? So inducing F3 can be okay for you if you back up the bishop and then you focus on what you should be doing, getting the king castled and then finding a plan. But it doesn't make sense to be attacked by a pawn here and now play D5. Right, but the problem is that he can capture here, and now you have two pieces under fire, knight and bishop, and how do you deal with both? Right, you got to consider all your opponent's opportunities, not just the one you want them to play. Retreating the bishop made sense even here. This isn't a bad set of double pawns because they control lots of critical squares, and you can get castled. So, okay. All right, so you play D5. Let's see what happens here. There's a lot of shenanigans going on here. ED, now you chop here, knight takes, and now you realize the truth, which is that you've gone too far, right? You have two pieces hanging and there's not a lot to do about it. So knight to D4 and Asai took on G4. So he's up a piece, right? Yeah. Well, we're gonna run through the rest of this game, and we're gonna learn some other stuff, I'm sure. But I want you to really focus on what happened in the beginning of this game. Okay? You did it. By the way, great handwriting. All right, great effort to stay focused, really, and to follow through. All right, so let's focus on the positive always. But we're reviewing this game to prepare for the future, right? Not just to be famous on YouTube. Okay? You're reviewing this game to prepare for the future, and the reason you do that is that you want to find the earliest opportunity to recognize where you made mistakes, because those patterns are going to repeat even more than patterns from move 30 and on. And the pattern here is that you really didn't consider all your options earlier to play D5 and open the center like you could have. All right, and then you focused on tricks rather than anticipating what your opponent's best move was that was coming. You can't be relying on if they play this, I'll get my way. You know, or if they do this, I have a trick. You have to consider all their options, right? The next level to critical thinking in chess, even though a lot of coaches here tell you what, after your opponent moves, you ask, why did he go there, right? Why did he go there? Why did she go there? Well, you now know that, all right? The next step in the true level of a chess player when critical thinking starts is not why did he go there, but if I go there, what happens next? If I go there, what will they do to me? So you're going, if I go here, oh, well, he's just going to take this and I'm going to take this and I get my way. But you're not actually doing it, which is, if I go there, what are all my opponent's options? What can they do? And if you had considered this move, you might have recognized, oh, snap, right? Big trouble. And you wouldn't have done that. So it's just the next stage of critical thinking is what's going to happen next after I make that move. And nobody wants to think that way because it implies you're thinking about what your opponent wants to do, and most of us are pretty self-centered beings and we just want to think about what we want all the time. It's life, all right? But as you start thinking about what are they trying to do, and you recognize you can be a really good chess player pretty much just by stopping others from getting what they want. You don't always have to be genius. All right, so knight to d4, fg, you play h6, but you're really just down a piece here, so we're going to make some moves until something interesting happens. Takes, knight e2. Maybe not the best for him, but he's up a piece and he's trying to simplify. That's good technique where I come from, which happens to be Mother Russia, FYI. Castle's long. Whoa, he played king to d2? And you're like, snap, game on, right? Queen e3 check. What in the world was he thinking? Was that like a mouse slip? Those kind of things happen. I would say it was a mouse slip because that's what happens on the internet, but this isn't internet chess, right? That's the kind of thing I would do. Queen e3 check, king e1, and just like that, now who's winning? I mean, you're still down a piece, but you got all kinds of initiative, and then some. h3, you gotta tell me there's something nasty here. You play knight f2, which seems sufficient. You have at least a draw if you give a little Chekaruski and then repeat, right? Go to repetition town. You can play knight e3, but there's nothing concrete after that. So knight f2 looks like the best move. I'll buy it. Queen to d2. Now you chop. Probably a little premature though. Might have been better to take here and let him take you, because in this position, now you get to keep your knight, and this pawn is like a thorn in his side. You know what move he's going to want to play here? His coach is going to walk by and say, dude, castle long. And you know what's going to happen if he tries to castle long? You go like this, you give him the Dikembe Mutombo. You know the Dikembe Mutombo? Is that beyond you, before your time? Go like this. That means when someone tries to dunk a basketball, Dikembe Mutombo would just like swat it and just shake his finger. You say, guess what, you're not allowed to castle. You know why? Because you already moved your king. One time in a game, my opponent castled after they already moved their king, and I forgot, and I ended up losing. I'll never forget that game. Don't let that happen to you. So, this move here, queen takes d2, was actually very immature by you because you're just kind of excited. I know, you were excited that you got this whole thing, and you're like, I'm going to take his rook. Well, now guess what? At the end of the line, now who's back to winning? White. White all of a sudden has two pieces for the rook instead of what it could have been, which would have been, you're up the exchange with a thorn in his side, and we have this awkward castles where he's like, I can't do it. So you're going to get the knight out, and you're doing well, right? So this game is getting close to being over after the mistake here of taking, because these two pieces are really, really good. They're a lot better than your rook, believe it or not. c6, chopalicious, bishop takes f7, rook f8, Chekaruski, no, he plays bishop c4. You get rook f2, so we're going to go a little further to see if you make a comeback. He doesn't understand how to deal with his king here. He's making a lot of awkward king moves. A little weird. He's putting his king back in a dysfunctional position. Rook g1, rook h2, rook g7, rook e8. Well, you're doing your best. Unfortunately, it's probably not going to be good enough. That sounded really harsh, didn't it? That sounded really, really harsh. I didn't mean it like that, but actually it's true. Your best isn't going to be good enough here because you're losing. Actually, wait, I'm wrong. You're going to win the knight. Whoa! In fact, even if... What? Why not? It looks like it's going to happen. Check, king e8. What? How did it not happen? He went here and you didn't take it, that's why. You gave check instead. Why'd you do that? Dude. Man. You actually, I didn't, after I insulted you deeply, I wounded you about your best wasn't going to be good enough, which hurt. I didn't even mean to say it like that, but what I meant was your position was losing, and so if your opponent played well, you were going to lose, but he allowed this opportunity. You were right back in the game, man. And you just, for some reason, you got a little too excited about a check. All right? Don't always check. All right? You want to take advantage of what's already weak, and in this case, you already had the knight 10. You know, that's really too bad. After rook f8, he went back, and you had an opportunity to repeat. You know, but instead you gave this check here, and that allowed him to block. And just like that, we're back in a position where you don't have any real advantage here. So this game was a back and forth affair. Neither one of you really had great technique when you both had your opportunities. But let's finish it off so we can summarize with some. He goes back here and you didn't. You had it again. Although now, actually, if he finds this move, he would have been doing just fine. So really, it's hard to say you were winning again before. Rook e8 check, knight e2, king c7, d4, king to d6, king d2, rook h2. He plays c3. Yeah, he sees that the bishop is doing its job. And now he's going to push you around a little bit, I think. I think he's going to get you. Owie, that hurts. At least it looked like it hurt. Bishop e7, king c4, c3. Bishop, so he's trying to mate you. He doesn't quite deliver the mate, but he delivers enough to finish the job, right? And now it was over. So, in hindsight, biggest lessons, in addition to the opening lessons, we talked about playing d5 when you had the opportunity, not playing that sort of if-hope chess where you're, you know, if they go there, this is a good idea, right? You got to be, you know, when I play there, what are they going to do next? And consider all their options, all right? But truthfully, after that advantage, you got several opportunities with this really weird mouse slip, king to d2, which was just crazy, right? And then you had a chance to be up the exchange, right? So what was it? Were you a little intimidated by him? A little higher rated, or what? Why did you miss those opportunities? They seem pretty straightforward. You didn't consider that way? So maybe that's a good lesson by itself, you know, slowing down a little bit. You know, if you're not considering all your opponent's options and your own, that's like that's a sign. That means that probably the bigger mistake from this game was that I bet you played a little too fast. When I see that, like, you didn't consider all your opponent's options and they weren't super tricky and you did the same to yourself, that means the bigger mistake to take away if you choose that road. I'm going to give you 2 pills, okay? Not an actual pill. 2 choices. One will make you a good chess player, one will make you okay. You have to be willing to dive deeper in your games and look for mistakes. So the mistake you want to look for is that you're playing too fast, because that's a mistake that can probably improve all of your games and all of your decision making if you start slowing down. Or you can say, I only lost this game because I, you know, traded queens instead of just taking this rook. Which, I mean, that was the biggest mistake where you would have kept the advantage. But, you know, if you're missing that move and you miss the other opportunities, probably the overall thing that you can learn from is that you need to slow down a little bit, consider your opponent's options a little bit more closely, and you'll be on the right track. Rock on. You ever seen Big Hero 6? Do that. La 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 la.